Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is a LuckPerms advanced tutorial, so let's jump into it. Opening up my folder here, going to plugins, I already have Essentials X, LuckPerms, Vault, and Vault Chat Formatter pre-installed. The basics you need for this are LuckPerms and Vault, but I have the others for the purposes of this tutorial. Hopping onto our server, we'll cover the permission check command. Currently I am operator, so I will have most permissions. Typing in /lp, group or user, the group or user you want, permission, check, and then the permission. In this case I will do essentials.gamemode.spectator. Remember that not all permissions will autofill unless that permission is specifically checked. You can see that the default group does not have the spectator permission set. If I change it from group to user Jason Horkels, you can see that I don't have it set specifically, but I still have it set to true because I am operator. Jumping into the editor here, I'm going to demonstrate how permissions are calculated. I'll just go to our default group for this example and type it in here. If I have the essentials.everything permissions set to true and add it, then I'll have all the essentials permissions. However, if I type essentials and then a specific one such as balance and set that to false and add that, this false will override this true because this is not a wildcard where this is. If I save my changes, you can see that I can no longer type balance. Also, using context, if I have essentials.balance set to true, but using context I have it set to false when I'm in spectator mode, this permission will override this permission because this one has a context. The same can also be said when the values are flipped. If I give myself the essentials.balance permission temporarily, this false will override this true. However, it will not override this one. With this permission setup, the permission that will expire sooner will take priority over the one that expires later. With this setup, using a wildcard within a permission further will override a more vague wildcard such as this one. So for this example, any LuckPerms.user permission will result in false, whereas every other LuckPerms permission will result as true. I know this can be very confusing, but you'll get the hang of it as you play with it more. Alright, so let's talk about shorthand permissions. Here I have these 4 permissions starting with LuckPerms, and these 2 end with clone, these 2 end with editor, these 2 have group, and these 2 have user. I can compact all of these 4 permissions into just one permission using shorthand permissions. To do that, I will type LuckPerms dot, click this top one, press add, and now we'll edit it in here. Type open curly bracket, user, comma, group, close curly bracket, dot, open curly bracket, clone, comma, editor, close curly bracket. Press enter, and now we've just condensed all of these permissions into one. Keep in mind not to use commas when adding permissions in here, or else it will think they're separate permissions. You can also use character ranges with shorthand permissions. So for this example, I'll type essentials.kits dot open curly bracket A through F, close curly bracket. Press enter, and now you'll have essentials.kits.A.B.C, and so on. You can also use numbers for this range, so I'll type essentials.kits dot open curly bracket 1 through 5, close curly bracket, and now I'll have the permission for all 5. Now I will demonstrate regex permissions. If you don't know what regex is, it's short for regular expression. What it does is it can help make setting permissions even easier than shorthand permissions in some cases. On screen is a key for using regex, and you can also go to regexer.com and you can put in a string and an expression. If I want to give everyone the essentials.back.into and then every world that starts with world, I can use regex to do this in a single permission. In this example, I gave all the permissions essentials.back.into and then the world names. Instead of using these 6 permissions, I can type in r equals to tell LuckPerms that I want to use regex, essentials /dot into /dot world open parenthesis dot asterisk close parenthesis, and press enter. And now adding it, it will give me all of these world nether, and world the end permissions, so I can safely delete these. I can also copy it and do the same for the no worlds, so just replace world with no. You can also put an underscore here to only apply to these 2 worlds. I'm going to remove the underscore and remove the other 3 permissions. Now I'll be able to use the back command into all worlds starting with world, but no worlds starting with no. Heading back to Minecraft, I will now discuss temporary permissions further. To give a user or group a temporary permission, type LP, group, the group you want, permission, set temp, and then the node. In this case, I will do essentials.ping. Press space, set it to the value that you would like. I will do true. The duration you would like, so you can do 10 seconds, 10 minutes, 10 hours, 10 days, 10 weeks, 10 months, 10 years, and so on. In this case, I will set the permission for 10 minutes, and you can either press enter here or press space and use context or temporary modifiers. There are 3 different temporary modifiers, which are accumulate, replace, and deny. Deny is the one that's used by default in the config, so if you don't define it, it will default to that. I'll press enter right here, and now I have the ping permission for 10 minutes. If I increase the duration to 15 minutes but leave it as deny, it will say that it's already set temporarily. If I change deny to replace, the higher duration will replace the lower one. Now I will have the ping permission for 15 minutes. If I change replace to accumulate, then it will add another 15 minutes onto my current duration. To unset the permission, you can type LP, group, the group you want, permission, unset temp, and then the permission. Okay, so let's talk about tracks. I've created 3 groups named 1, 2, and 3, but these can be anything such as your staff rankings, donation rankings, and anything like that. A track is basically a way to combine groups together to make it easier to promote and demote players from them. You can create a track by typing LP, create track, and then the track name you would like. In this case, I will name it track. To add groups to a track, I will type LP, track, the track name, and then here you can either do append or insert. Append will just add the group to the end of the track, whereas insert will let you put the group in between other groups within the track. I will use append for this demo and add 1, 2, and 3. Now all 3 groups are within the track, and you can see that at LP editor. You can also type /LP track, the track you want, info, and that will show the groups that you have in there. Here in the editor, we'll open the tracks category, our track, and all 3 of the groups are listed here. I've gone ahead and given group 1 the prefix 1 with a priority of 1, group 2 a prefix of 2 with a priority of 2, and group 3 a prefix of 3 with a priority of 3. If I save my changes and type in chat, you can see that nothing happens because I'm not in any of those groups. If these groups did not have tracks, I would have to type LP, user, the user you want, parent, add, and then the group I want. If I wanted to go from group 1 to group 2, I would have to type in parent add 2 and then parent remove 1. I've just reset myself to the default group, so now with tracks I can do LP, user, the user you want, promote, and then the track name. Since I wasn't in any groups on the track, it just added me to the first group, which was 1. Now if I type in chat, you can see there is a 1 right here. I can use the promote command again to remove me from the first group and add me to the second one. Now if I type in chat, I have a 2. Doing the same, it will add me to the third group and remove me from the second one. Typing in chat, there is now a 3. You can also demote users by using LP, user, the user you want, demote, and then the track name. Now it brought me down from group 3 to group 2, and here I have a 2 in front of my name now. Alright, so now I'm going to go through the LuckPerms configuration file and also talk about database syncing and BungeeCord. I'm currently in my plugins folder, but I will navigate to LuckPerms and open the config.yml. First off, I will go through the config for single servers only. After that, I will go through the options that are BungeeCord or network specific. Scrolling down to the customization settings, here we can see this is the setting I was talking about earlier when using the set temp command. I'm going to leave this as deny, but you can change it to whatever option you would like. Jumping down to prefix and suffix stacking, I will explain how that works. All of these comments here explain pretty well exactly what it does, but I will give an example for this tutorial. Alright, so I've gone ahead and created the groups 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, and the tracks, letters, and numbers. I have added A, B, and C to the letters track, and 1, 2, and 3 to the numbers track. If I want myself to have the prefix from both the letters track and the numbers track, we'll use prefix and suffix stacking. I've gone ahead and set all the prefixes for these different groups, and now we'll jump into our config. we'll change highest to highest_on_track_, and then the track name. I want the numbers to show first, so I will do numbers. We'll duplicate this line and change numbers to letters, and now we'll see the numbers track prefix and letters track prefix appear. If I want a spacer in between them, I can set these, so I will add an end spacer. If you save that file and go into Minecraft, type LP reload config, add yourself to the groups that you would like, and type in chat, we now have the 3 and B prefixes. Here is what my prefix and suffix stacking looks like for my personal server. I'll just give you a moment to soak that in. Your time is up. Alright, so I'm now down here in the permission calculation and inheritance section. 99.9% of servers will not need to even touch this section, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. Regarding the inheritance traversal algorithm, you will now see a GIF of the breadth first algorithm, where the topmost node is the user, and any nodes below that are inherited groups. And now here is a GIF of the depth first pre-order algorithm. Finally, here is a graphic of the depth first post order algorithm. The only thing in this section you would really need to touch is the disabled context key, but frankly you don't need to touch that either. Okay, that's all I'm going to cover for the config for a single server. So let's now talk about networks such as BungeeCord or Velocity. If you don't have the LuckPerms plugin for networks already, go to LuckPerms.net and download it. For this tutorial, I will be using BungeeCord, so I'm going to continue to refer to anything network-based as BungeeCord. Download the BungeeCord plugin into your BungeeCord plugins folder and restart the BungeeCord server. Make sure on your BungeeCord server you have LuckPerms Bungee installed, and on your backend server you also have LuckPerms for Bucket. The LuckPerms Bucket plugin will only handle permissions on the backend server, and the LuckPerms Bungee plugin will only handle permissions on the BungeeCord server. If you'd like both permissions to sync up, you will need to save them to a database. If you pay for a host, they will most likely provide you with free databases, otherwise you might have to pay for your own. I'll go ahead and create a new database and call it LuckPerms, and then I'll hop back into my config. I'm currently editing the backend/bucket config, so make sure to also open the LuckPerms Bungee one. I will put those as split screen because you need to edit them both at the same time. Starting off with the server key on the backend server, change it to the name of your server. In this case, I will call it lobby. The server key for Bungee is already set, so you can leave that as default. In just a moment, I will get into why you want to make this unique. Okay, so scrolling down to my storage methods, I'm going to change H2 to MySQL in both configs. I'm now going to copy my database info into my config. Alright, I have added in all the info, and then I'll save both files. Scrolling down to sync minutes, I like to change -1 to 3, and scrolling down further, change broadcast received log entries to false. If you don't change it to false, you might get a lot of spam in your chat. After changing all these settings, be sure to restart both your BungeeCord server and your backend servers. If you already set up your permissions on your backend server, but then you decided to switch to a database, go back into your config and change your storage method back to H2. Restart your server, rejoin, and you should see you now have the permissions again. To save these permissions, type LP, export, and then the name you would like to give it. I will give it the name backup. Once it's done exporting, go back to your config, change storage method back to MySQL, and save the file and restart the server. After rejoining, we shouldn't have any permissions again, so open up your console and type LP import, and then the name you chose, in this case, backup. Once it imports everything, go back to your game and type LP, and you should see that it now works. If for some reason your permissions aren't syncing to your network, type LP network sync. Doing so will ensure that all your permissions have been properly synced. To use the LuckPerms commands on the backend servers, just type LP. If you're going to use a LuckPerms BungeeCord command, then type LPB. All the commands should be very similar or exactly the same. Alright, so now let's talk about using contexts. We'll open up an editor by typing LP editor, go to the group you want, in this case I will do default, and give it a permission. I will use essentials.balance. Here on the right we can see an area for contexts, click the plus, and then you have a bunch of options. Under the key, choose the option you would like, in this case I will say world, and then under value, choose the world you would like to have the permission in. I will say world in this case. Add the context, add the permission, and now I will have the essentials.balance permission only in the world. If I'd like this to only apply for a single server instead of a single world, under the key, use server, and then the server name. We only see lobby right here, but if it's a BungeeCord permission, you can also put the name defined in the config, in this case, Bungee. I will leave it as lobby for now and add the context. Now if we save our changes, we will have the essentials.balance permission in the lobby server. Certain plugins can also provide their own context, such as Essentials X using AFK, jailed, muted, and vanished. If you'd like extra context options, you can also download the plugin LuckPerms Extra Context. I will leave a link to it in the description below. Save it to your backend server and restart it. And while it's starting, type stop to stop the server as soon as it's done starting. Open up your plugins folder, navigate to Extra Contexts, and open the config.yml. To enable additional context, just change the false in here to true. Save the file and start up your server. And once the server's done starting up, type LP editor to get an editor link. Go to the group you want. Opening up the context menu, you can now see it added the whitelisted context. If you're wondering why the other contexts aren't there, it's because I don't have the other plugins installed, such as WorldGuard. Finally, let's talk about the bulk update command. If you type LP bulk update, it will show you all the valid options. Keep in mind, the bulk update command can only be done via console. I'm just covering the basics, but if you'd like more information, I will leave a link to the wiki page in the description below. If there's a permission node that many people have but you'd like to change it, you can type LP bulk update all update permission, the permission you would like to use as a replacement. In this case, I will say permission.moderator, and then we'll use open quotes permission equals permission.mod, or the old permission you would like replaced. Now, all permission.mod permissions will be replaced with permission.moderator. After typing in the command, it will ask you to confirm it. If you'd like to delete a certain permission from only users and not groups, then type LP bulk update users delete quotation mark permission equals essentials.balance. Now everybody with the permission essentials.balance set for the user specifically will have that permission removed. Alright, so that concludes this LuckPerms advanced tutorial. If there's anything else you're wondering about or want to dig deeper into, I'll leave a link to the wiki in the description below. Thanks a ton for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.